every 20 minutes. It's your statewide Alabama weathercast.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Drew McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network, and this is your morning statewide forecast update. And take a look at the satellite and radar. The state right now, at least, is basically almost cloudless and full sunshine and blue skies. There's a few clouds here and there, but you see that there is a few showers and maybe a rumble of thunder moving towards the northwestern corner of the state this morning. Got a few thunderstorms that kicked off over some old boundaries up in Kentucky and Tennessee overnight, so a few of those heading down towards the southwest. However, they do appear to be weakening, so it may not be a whole lot left by the time they get into parts of western Lauderdale County and maybe western Colbert County as well. But don't be surprised if you're in kind of the Shoals area, Florence. Again, those are kind of western Lauderdale, western Colbert, maybe even clipping Franklin potentially. That you might get a shower, you'll get a little bit of rain this morning, but it's passing pretty quickly. It's moving pretty fast. There's a few additional showers kind of trailing behind it, but those may dissipate before they get down far enough southwest to enter into the state. But do be aware that northwestern corner of the state does have a chance of a few scattered showers, especially this morning, and we'll take a look further at the forecast of that as we get later into this forecast here. But looking at the Florence Skycam, again, you can start to see, it's got some of those clouds there in the distance. That's that little batch of showers that's off in the distance moving in the direction. So you can actually start to see that approaching, although blue skies, again, pretty much anywhere else you look, you can see the blue skies there, but you see those clouds starting to approach at 74 degrees there in Florence. Another look at that same batch of showers from Russellville, looking back in the same kind of northern and northwesterly direction from Russellville. Temperatures at 79 degrees there. Again, blue skies overhead right now, but you can see those clouds in the distance. So again, maybe getting some showers nearby at least. But you can see it's still kind of a nice morning out there across this part of the state. Then now we jump back down to the south, there along the coast, Dauphin Island, a beautiful start there, looking towards the north, towards the bridge there. It's 80 degrees already, the dew point's at 69 degrees, a little bit of a breeze from the northeast. As we move back towards the north a little bit, Point Clear, looking beautiful there, looking across the bay there from the Grand Hotel, it's 72 degrees, and 63 degree dew point is not too bad. It's a nice morning there. Not much of a breeze going on there. And Mount Cheaha, beautiful view as usual at 73 degrees there. Dew point's 56, so pretty dry air in place still there atop the highest point in the state. The beautiful view there. So here's what we're watching for today and this coming week. Hot afternoons, nice mornings. That's still the story. That's been the case for a while now. Still expect those hot afternoons into generally the upper 80s, low 90s. Morning still fairly nice because we have relatively low humidity in place and staying mostly dry. However, as we've just looked at the radar there are going to be occasional times where some showers will move through in some spots, but again, most people staying dry most of the time through most of this week. A few showers possible as we get into next weekend. We're looking at potentially a little bit of a pattern change with the front approaching and an upper level trough trying to get in as we get into early next week. So that might get us into a little bit more of a less dry pattern. So we'll see how that plays out, but that's what we're hoping for as we look at that. Low temperature so far this morning, we've gotten down in the upper 50s in quite a few places. 59 degrees is what Coleman saw. Same thing in Greenville, obviously well far to the south. Troy also got 59 as well. And it looks like Eufaula, again, may have been the cool spot at 56 degrees, which has happened a couple times recently. And again, I think that's a lot of it has to do with them being a little bit closer to some drier air. And so, again, we're getting a little bit cooler there in some of those southeastern parts of the state. Further to the west, it got down to 64 in Chatham and only 66 in both Mobile and Gulf Shores. Temperatures right now have warmed up into the 60s and 70s. It's 69 in Clanton. It's 68 in Tuscaloosa. It's 73 in Coleman. And again, we got mostly 70s down towards the southwest. Forecast highs for today. It's going to be a very similar story to yesterday. We're expecting low 90s, upper 80s across the board here. So another warm one out there, but again, the humidity not too bad. And the satellite here, so again, a pretty calm pattern here. We've got high pressure to our northeast. You can see those storms that kicked off over that kind of little boundary, maybe a little upper level disturbance up into Kentucky and Tennessee moving, and again, kind of clipping the northwestern corner of the state here in the next hour or so, most likely. Off the east coast, we've got a developing low there, so you can see quite a bit of clouds streaming into coastal North Carolina and into Virginia. So that'll be something that might toss a few showers our way over the next day or two, especially in the northeastern part of the state. And then there's a developing system off in the west to the west here over the southern plains and over the northern plains as well, but it'll be a little bit before we see any impacts from that. So again, high pressure still generally the dominant feature here. And as we zoom into our future cast and move through the day-to-day, again, there's a chance of a couple of isolated showers, and it looks like it could be kind of related to those ones that are moving down to into the northwestern part of the state today. So some of the ones that are trailing behind that in Tennessee and Kentucky now, still some of that leftover shower activity could make it into the northern part of the state as we get into this afternoon and evening. So again, in Tennessee Valley, don't be surprised if you get a passing shower or two, even though most of the day generally will be fairly warm and dry. And even into overnight and tomorrow morning, showing a few more showers kicking off here. And so it's a few different models showing this solution. So I think it's decent chance that you could get a few showers if you're in the kind of northwestern or western part of the state, places around Pickens County and Lamar and Fayette and Marion counties as well, and up further north of that. Could get a few showers early tomorrow morning, but again, most of the day we expect to be dry. Looks like things will kind of pass through and it'll be mostly dry through the rest of the day. But again, don't be surprised if you get a few showers or two, but anything you get generally with any of these are going to be fairly brief and not going to be impactful as far as trying to get some beneficial rain in place for sure. Taking a look at the tropics, things a little bit more active than we saw most of last week. We do have this 70% chance of development over the kind of central part of the Atlantic, and you've got this wave just right there to the east of that red box there that's moving into that area over the next week. And at this point, expecting that this will likely become a tropical depression over the course of the week. It does appear that it's more likely to stay far enough north and then start to curve off away from land eventually once it forms. But so we'll keep an eye on it. But again, we continue to stay quiet further west in the Caribbean and the Gulf, which is certainly nice as we're still pretty near that peak of tropical season. The rainfall outlook today through next weekend, still pretty meager out there. Again, the northwestern corner of the state would be the best chance of getting a little bit, maybe a quarter inch or maybe more if you get under a downpour in spots. But, a few places could see a little bit of shower activity at times over the course of the week. But a lot of places staying dry. And again, especially actually the southern part of the state generally looking drier than the northern part of the state. And the precipitation outlook, though, when we look into next week, looking a little bit more likely that we start to get into hopefully a slightly wetter pattern as we get into next week. So that's what we're looking forward to, and that's what we're hoping for. You can see some of the green there in the northern half of the state means slightly above average precipitation outlook for that time period. As far as our 7-day outlook for North Alabama, we've got these small rain chances that we just go ahead and put into each day here. Again, vast majority of places will stay dry, and if you get a rain, it'll likely be fairly brief and passing, and then generally you're going to be getting into the low 90s for the highs, and then again, the lows in the mornings will be fairly comfortable in the mid 60s, and so not a lot of change as we head through next weekend, but we hope again, kind of late next weekend, we may start to see a little bit of a change, and you see the temperature trend might go down just a little bit at that point in North Alabama, and we still including a small chance of rain in the forecast for South Alabama, but honestly, it's looking more likely that the southern part of the state will be a little bit drier than the northern part of the state for this week. But generally, everybody's still mostly dry, upper 80s, low 90s for highs, and lows down into the 60s for South Alabama as well. Well, that is your forecast update for now. We'll have another one coming up later on today on the Alabama Weather Network.